Let's turn now to John Nichols, Washington correspondent of the Nation magazine, and talk about Bernie Sanders. He spoke yesterday at Georgetown, and he says he's not seeking the presidency to pursue reckless adventures abroad. Bernie trying to reel this thing in and describe exactly what a Sanders presidency would be like, and also focusing in on democratic socialism. It seems that is dogging his campaign, although he still leads in New Hampshire by a few percentage points, and it's still pretty close in Iowa, although Clinton leads there. John Nichols, great to have you with us.
It's great to be with you, Ed. It was great to listen in to Congressman Cohen.
What is Bernie Sanders doing? Why is he addressing democratic socialism? It's almost like he's trying to make sure everybody knows what this is and don't listen to the rhetoric, the negative rhetoric, which I think some of it's coming from the Clinton campaign.
Well, look, if somebody is going to call you something, if they're determined to call you something, and not just somebody, but lots of folks, and if you know that as you rise politically, that's the thing you're going to get hit with, you had better explain it. You'd better tell people what it is, and you better do so in terms that Americans understand. And I want to give you an analogy here, a little political history here, Ed. There was a time in the 1970s when people said that Ronald Reagan's conservatism was too extreme, that it extended from Barry Goldwater, who had been rejected, and that Reagan just could never really translate. Well, Reagan went out and talked a lot about conservatism, his conservatism. He connected it to American history, to American values. And in so doing, he transformed how people thought about it, how people talked about it. That's what Sanders was doing yesterday. He was taking democratic socialism, concept that many people, are either rejecting of or find too politically unacceptable. And he said, no. It extends from Franklin Roosevelt, when Roosevelt took socialist, social democratic ideas like Social Security and jobs programs and instituted them. It extends from Martin Luther King Jr.
Here's exactly what Bernie said about. Here's exactly what he said about that.
Roosevelt implemented a series of programs that put millions of Americans back to work, took them out of dire poverty, and restored their faith in government. He redefined the relationship of the federal government to the people of our nation. He combated cynicism, fear, and despair. He reinvigorated democracy. He transformed our country. And that is exactly what we have to do today.
So a modern-day FDR presidency is what Bernie Sanders would be looking at if he had the opportunity.
Without a doubt. I mean, there is simply no question of that. And that was the point that he was making. And he also, in another section of the speech, shortly after what you just played there, he noted that almost every one of Roosevelt's major initiatives was described as socialist in the time, not by just his political opponents, but in the media, lots of folks. And all he was trying to say is, look, this is a term he has accepted for himself throughout his political career, from when he was a civil rights campaigner in the early 1960s, and that it's not something foreign that, he didn't say it specifically, but it's important to note that Franklin Roosevelt in the 1930s ran against Norman Thomas, the Socialist Party candidate for president. When Roosevelt beat Thomas, he invited Thomas to the White House. They consulted about how best to address the Great Depression. So this is not, I think what he's really trying to do is to just kind of get us into this broader discussion and frankly then get beyond it, because the terms don't matter as much as the programs and the ideas.
John Nichols, Washington correspondent of the Nation, with us here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary.